Hi, I'm Catherine.
And I'm Gail, and welcome to Women Over 70, Aging Reimagined, our award-winning weekly podcast. Visit womenover70.com and learn how you may become involved. Join Aging Reimagined Circle and enjoy free participation in our online monthly programs. And we thank you for listening. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Plymouth Place in LaGrange Park, Illinois, where senior living is redefined with options and opportunities to fit individual needs and preferences.
We're really very excited to be talking with Jody Wilhelm. At the age of 84, Jody, now 85, was the oldest female to become a first-time feature filmmaker. And this was for her film Letters to Stephanie, based on her true story. Mm-hmm. And here's a glimpse into some of Jody's story, which we'll hear more about. Her mother died when she was 8 years old, and although Jody says her father was a good man, he was not a good mother. And the 7 siblings, were separated and not reunited until 40 years later. Jody's 20 years of living below poverty and a loveless marriage to an alcoholic husband were, she says, the happiest of her life because of her deep love for her 3 children. It took Jody 9.5 years to earn her bachelor's degree. And while teaching in middle school, she earned her Master of Arts in Teaching, and she took postmaster's courses to become a school guidance counselor. She was also a professional model, a member of the Screen Actors Guild in New York, a 4-day winner on Hollywood Squares, and the adult host of Romper Room. And Jody's excelled at other challenges as well. She was instrumental in changing laws in South Carolina, allowing pregnant women to continue teaching, and granting grandparents the right to sign the state's Adoption Reunion Registry. Jody's been happily married to Werner for 46 years, and she's currently writing her memoir, she says, the last item on her bucket list. So, welcome, Jody, to Women Over 70. We're delighted to have you with us. And I want to thank Sari Baden, who's at Ulster Magazine. When I read your story in Ulster Magazine, I thought, this is a woman we have to talk to. So thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And I'm deeply honored and just deeply flattered. I mean, I never thought I would be seeing old age, so to speak. It's just what you ladies have done, put together for us to be able to have a voice, still have a voice. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. You've described yourself as a late bloomer, and you needed time to heal physically and emotionally from some of the traumas that you've experienced in your life. And so I'm just, what would you like to share with our listeners about that?
Okay, you touched on a little bit, but I can give it a little bit more detail. During about a 6-month period in my early childhood, starting I was 7 and 8 at the end of that 6-month period. My baby sister was born, which was a delightful thing. But then we moved to South Carolina from Florida, and about 2 months later. And then after that, now when I say we were a family of 9. There were 7 of us children, and I was the middle. I had 2 brothers older, 2 brothers younger, sister older, sister younger. But then when my mother died in February, it separated our family because my 2 oldest brothers went to Florida to live with the grandparent, with my grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side. And they also had our baby sister. And so that left my older sister with me, and then my 2 little brothers. And my little brothers were like 4 and 5 years old. No, wait a minute, 3 and 4 years old. Yeah, 3 and 4 years old. And all of that was extremely traumatic. And one thing that made it difficult was we bought a house out of the country. We were isolated from everything. But saving grace to me was going to a little country school where I was not ignored by teachers like a lot of children are now because their hands are so full. You know what I mean? But that was a very, very painful time that I needed to heal. And then a few years later, I was raped at a time that I didn't even know I had a vagina. I didn't know what a menstrual period was or anything. And I kept all this to myself, partly because the guy had a gun, and partly because I didn't want my daddy to hurt any more than I knew he was already hurting from my mother dying. And and back then you just didn't talk about anything that hurt you. I mean, I was always told if I cried because somebody picked on me, just keep it to yourself. So anyway, that didn't help at all. But I did manage, to move forward, but I did lead a very secluded life besides being geographically separated from other people. I kept to myself with what was left of my family. While they were doing whatever they were doing, I'd climb a tree and sit there all day, And I don't think anybody ever really missed me. At least that's the feeling I had. But I've survived, and I don't want to go into any more detail about that, except to say that even though I know that how deeply hurt I was, and I couldn't say anything, I look back now and I realize that my sister, that was 2 years older than me, was hurt a lot worse than I was, and because from the time my mother had her baby until she died, she never got out of bed because she never recovered. And we found out that she had leukemia and she died. And my sister was like the little mama to my baby sister. And then the brothers that were older than me, the one was just 12 months older than my sister, and they were like best friends. And he went to go to Florida too. And the sad thing is that I knew something was wrong with my sister, but I didn't know what it was because she was so popular and everything. But there was just something inside her that I knew was hurting, and I didn't realize it until 10 years later. She had a complete breakdown, and it took her a long time to recover, but she did fully.
So, Jody, what prompted you to write letters to Stephanie? Tell us about this.
God made me do it. He did. He created the stories based on true experiences, and he created it. He choreographed the whole story, and he used me as an instrument to write it. And I knew that, and that's where I really feel honored to know God would trust me with this story. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it too.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the film is about?
Oh, thank you. Yes. It's a inspirational adoption film, and it was it told about a time that my daughter had died, and I found myself as a little girl. I was without a mama, and then as a mama, I ended up without my little girl. And then I found out my granddaughter was going to be placed for adoption. And that kind of freaked me out because back then, girls were forced to give up their babies for adoption. And I wanted to be able to see her again by some miracle. And social services said that I could not adopt her because I was a grandparent and we did not have any rights to that. And they said I could put a letter in her file, but just like the birth parents could, and that was my son and a former girlfriend of his. And so I was permitted to have write a letter to my granddaughter when she was born and had put it in her adoption file. And I felt like the only hope I had of ever seeing her again would be to put some clues in my letter to her. And I did, and I had to come up with some good clues. And then I mailed the letter. One of my best scenes in the movie is when I mailed the letter, because at that time I had to accept I may never see her again, but I had hope that maybe one day I would. And then on her first birthday, besides writing the letters, I put an ad in the newspaper saying, happy birthday to my granddaughter who was born, on this day. And I want to say happy birthday to wherever you are. I love you, Grandma. And I put a little ad in the paper, a big heart with that message in it. And I did that for years, the same message, just hoping that maybe by some miracle, this was another possibility. And then after about 20 years, I saw where that there was an adoption, the state had an Adoption Reunion Registry, which if the adoptive parents put a letter, if they sign this Adoption Reunion Registry and the child that is placed for adoption signs it, then the state can put them together, which I thought was a beautiful idea. So I got in touch with our state Adoption Reunion Registry, which is done through social services. And I asked them, I said, can I sign? And they said, oh, sure. Okay. And then they started taking information. They said, well, when was your baby placed for adoption? I said, wait a minute. This was not my baby. It was my granddaughter that was placed for adoption. I said, oh, you can't sign it. It's against the law. And I wanted to have that as an option, doggone it. So I got in touch with one of my legislators, and she helped me get it passed, where grandparents in South Carolina can now have the right to sign the Adoption Reunion Registry. Okay. It doesn't mean that they'll automatically be connected. But if that grandchild wants to be connected and your signature's on there, then they'll connect you.
Did you ever reconnect with your granddaughter because of that?
No, but I don't want to give away my story.
Okay, good point. You also helped change another law, which was about teachers who became pregnant and then were not supposed to be in the classroom when they were showing. So you were a teacher, and you tell us a little bit about that.
Well, before I became a teacher, I was going to USC, here, University of South Carolina, and I was within a couple of courses, science courses that I needed to take to graduate. And I was like 32 years old then myself. And anyway, I had just taken a class in plant biology, which I love, and I aced it. And the professor was a young woman, and I asked her, I said, look, I need another science course. Are you by chance going to be teaching another plant biology class, that is the step above what I just took, because I really loved the course you were teaching. She says, well, I usually do teach one, but I can't teach this spring because I'm pregnant. She didn't look pregnant to me. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, it's against the law for a teacher to be pregnant and showing in South Carolina. And I thought, well, I don't want to insult anybody about the politicians in my state. But I said, this cannot be. That's the most dumb thing I ever heard of. And I got on my bandwagon, and I got at petitions. I got in touch, walked right into several of our legislators' offices, and I just told them what I thought about it. And I said, this is the most dumb blank law I've ever heard of. I said, just because a woman is pregnant and showing does not mean her brain misfunctions. I mean, that's just stupid. And I think they agreed with me because they did change the law.
No. You, you, you take on, you have a whole history of taking on challenges. Things happen and you just step into it. You go on Hollywood Squares, you become a model, you find yourself as a host of Romper Room. I mean, how does that happen?
Well, somehow I figured out life is not a dress rehearsal. It's not. And you get one shot at it. And in my family, I truly did not ever expect to be here talking to like I'm a senior citizen. I thought I was going to die young because my mother was 31 when she died, and my daughter was 9 when she died, and my grandmother's like 49 when she died. And I just figured, you know, if I made it to 49 like my grandmother, I'd be, you know, that'd be good. You got to enjoy life and do what you want to do because you got a lot of time to be dead. I think that's Mark Twain said that. And so I've been kind of living by that. Just then I knew I had to face my fears because of the traumas I had when I was little. The trauma being raped made me where I was a recluse, literally, you know, afraid to leave my house, afraid to leave my yard. And I still have a little bit of that in me, but not much. But I knew that the only way I could do it is face my fears, and I did. And I was able to hop in my car and go all the way to Atlanta to try my luck at being the model I always wanted to be when I was little, looking at Sears Roebuck catalogs, Montgomery Ward catalogs. I want to be the ladies in those catalogs.
Really?
And I didn't, but I had a dummy in the front seat next to me where it looked like a man, and I had a toy monkey wrapped around my neck. I want people to leave me alone when I'm on that highway, like 26. And I made it, and I ended up driving down to Miami and going down what they call during the season. From October till April. And then, you know, I could fly home now and then and visit my very understanding husband. Because he told me, I don't like you doing it, but I know that you have to. And that's all I needed to hear.
Is this Werner you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. Your husband of 46 years?
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you talk about having the confidence to do these things? That they were big challenges to you, but somehow you had the confidence. And so what does that mean to you, having had the confidence?
Well, to me, I do have a special closeness with God. And I knew I had confidence because I knew He wanted me to make the film. Okay, when it comes to the film. Now, my father was a big role model by example. He was a very soft-spoken, mild person. I don't think I ever heard him raise his voice. But he was also a bit of a recluse. He worked in a laboratory for the state. He was a state veterinarian, which you would think, well, he made a lot of money. If you work for the state of South Carolina, you don't make a lot of money. I'll tell you that right now. It's improved a little bit. But anyway, he developed a vaccine to eradicate fowl cholera. And that took years of work and testing with different kinds of birds, turkeys, chickens, ducks. And he developed the vaccine, and he was recognized in the World Poultry Congress one year for doing that, because, that vaccine, if it helped a fowl, then maybe somebody else can work, expand it and maybe help people in, countries where that's a problem. Mm-hmm. So my father was I learned by his example, stay focused. And that's what I did. I stayed focused on what I was doing. Stayed with perseverance is my favorite word. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So when these challenges came, you persevered and found the confidence to face them.
Yes, ma'am. I sure did.
Inspiring.
Never give up. And hey, and my advice is not just for young women, but for older women, never give up. And I used to teach classroom guidance when I became a guidance counselor, and I used to tell the students, there's several things you need to do if you want to follow your dream. And that is, one, you get the best education you can toward whatever it is you want to pursue. Stay drug-free and never give up. And every time I walked in the classroom with children, I would ask them right away, okay, what are the 3 things, that you have to remember if you want to follow your dream? And then later on, I added something to that. Never let the dream snatchers snatch your dream. Because they're out there. There are people who will try it.
Yes. And you also, when you and I talked earlier, you said about don't let people snatch your dreams and know who your angels are.
Yes.
Who are your angels? Who have been your angels?
Oh, one of my biggest angels was named Lenora Livingston. She was a role model that I had when I was growing up. She was a lady in my church that she took me in her heart. She never told me she loved me, but I knew she did. Mm-hmm. But she was my mentor and helped me, she was always there for me. I'd knock on her door without ever telling her I was coming over, and she never turned me away.
Wonderful.
She was an angel.
And how have you learned to take care of the little Jody inside?
Oh, I did that early on. My mother used to give me perms and do my hair and have it curly because it was always straight when I was little. And when I was just in the 6th grade, I would save up my money from picking up empty bottles on the side of the road. I could get them 2 cents a bottle. And I could save up my money to buy whatever I wanted. And I would buy a home permanent, Lilt or Tony.
Of course.
And I would give myself permanents and give myself curls. And as young as I was 11 years old then. And I did it all the way through school and early marriage first time.
And I had many a Lilt perm or Tony perm.
And I also like good food. My mother was a good cook, and I knew that. So I taught myself how to cook good food. And to me, that wasn't just helping the little Jody feel good. It was making me feel like I was important to other people, that I knew how to. And I got, the first thing I learned to make was deviled eggs. Mm. And some lady at a church event, she had deviled eggs there, and I asked her, hey, what's in this? This is good. And she told me, and I went home and I made it, just testing out the ingredients she said was in it till I make deviled eggs.
Very nice.
So you talked a little bit, Jody, about life is not a dress rehearsal. I've got a lot of time to be dead, so let's live it up while we're here. And so is there anything else you'd like to about how do you think about your own aging? You're in your middle 80s, and it's kind of surprised, I think, to be alive past 50. So how do you think about it or feel about it?
I am surprised. I surprised myself. I mean, right now, I mean, whenever sometimes somebody starts talking about in making the movie, and I'm thinking, that movie, Letters to Stephanie, that won what, 20, 30, 40 something awards in film festivals and script writing contest or whatever. And people will start talking about it, and I'm thinking, that's a big deal. Because I didn't know what I was doing. And it's just by the grace of God and a husband that didn't kill me. I did it.
You did.
As old as I am. I mean, it's mine. I boggle my own mind, I'm saying.
So where can people watch this film? Where can we see it?
Oh, it's streaming free on a lot of different channels. Yeah, the Redeem TV, Apple Fire. Oh, well, why do my mind go blank? I got a card right here. It tells some of them. It's not all of them. But it's the Redeem TV, Tubi, Apple TV, Android, Roku, Samsung, Amazon Fire, LG TV, Sailing Now, Fandango at Home, which is what Voodoo used to do. And somebody told me recently they saw it on YouTube. I know it was supposed to, but I haven't seen it there. So there. And oh, by the way, it's gone global. That blows my mind more than anything. I mean, it's gone global. And the plans are to have it worldwide. I mean, whole world, and we're off to a good start. And this is through Vision Video, who is my distributor. It's Australia's has the rights to use it there. The Netherlands, Mexico, Romania, Czech Republic. Yeah, it's out there, and it will be worldwide.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, that's fabulous. So you told me before that you're working on your memoir, or you want to write your memoir.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you writing it now?
I have started, and some of the things that you read when you read the Oldster magazine, where I was featured in that, and some of that, I know a lot of that will be in my memoirs, but I will expand on it more, these areas. The one area that I'm itching to write about right now is when I was little, I had perfect attendance in the first grade. And Marjorie Kennan Rawlings gave me a copy of The Yearling. It had just come out. And I got to meet her, but not when she gave it to me. This was after she gave it to me. I told you that my father was a veterinarian for the state in South Carolina. Well, when we were in Florida, he was a state veterinarian in Florida. But he was with cattle then, not birds. And he had an assignment where he had to go out and inoculate cattle for brucellosis. And Marjorie Kennan Rawlings owned some cattle, and he was going to have to go out there and inoculate her cattle. And he wanted to take me with him, and my older sister, because she was a big reader too. And the thing is that I appreciated more than anything. We didn't even own a car. The only car Daddy had was to be able to go to work. The state provided him with a car, with the understanding your wife can ride with you sometime, but no children. And so Daddy smuggled us past his boss's house by making us get down the floor the back seat was. And so he wouldn't get in any trouble. And then when we got there, I got to meet her in person and visit her. Oh, she had let me pick some oranges off of her orange tree, and there were chickens running around in her yard, and it was It was an experience I will never forget. But I can hardly wait to write about that.
Will you promise to let us know when your memoir is out there? When it's
I
available?
will. Yes, I will.
You will. Yes, good.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
That's giving me incentive to hurry up and do it now.
That's right.
Yes, I would love to. I'd be honored to.
We would
You
love
would
to.
be marvelous.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Jody. This is just an incredible story and a rich, rich life that you've created. Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.
And listeners, make your voice heard as together we change the conversation about women aging and explore womenover70.com, and also join us at our Aging Reimagined Circle monthly programs. And another podcast we'd like to introduce you to is by Beverly Glazer. It's called Aging with Purpose and Passion, and is the weekly podcast inspiring women over 50 to embrace bold life shifts and unlock their potential through captivating stories from trailblazing older women. Visit agingwithpurposeandpassion.com.